Commander Zethkar of the Valerian Defense Fleet had studied humans for 3 cycles before requesting them as allies. The reports were consistent. Humans required 8 standard hours of unconsciousness every rotation, a biological weakness that made them unsuitable for extended campaigns. Their military doctrine even included mandatory rest periods. How could such a fragile species contribute to the war against the Void Swarm? Yet here they were aboard his flagship Crimson Dawn, preparing for what would likely be the final battle for the Kepler sector. The human contingent numbered only 50, led by a quiet woman named Captain Sarah Chen who barely reached Zethkar's shoulder. "Your people should rest before the engagement," Zethkar advised during the final briefing. "The swarm will attack in waves. This battle could last several rotations." Captain Chen nodded politely. "We'll manage, Commander." The first wave struck 12 hours later. Void Swarm bioships poured through the system like a plague of locusts, their organic hulls pulsing with bioluminescent weapon arrays. The combined fleet, Valerian cruisers, Corthan destroyers, and the sleek human frigates, met them at the edge of the asteroid belt. Within hours it became clear this wasn't just another wave. This was the full might of a hive mind bearing down on them with the fury of a dying star. The battle raged through the first day. Zethkar watched his screens in growing admiration as human pilots weaved impossible patterns through enemy fire, their reflexes sharp despite the mounting hours. But humans needed rest, everyone knew this. Soon their performance would degrade. Day 2 arrived with no respite. The swarm pressed their attack, seeming to sense weakness in the Allied formation. Valerian crews rotated in shifts, but battle fatigue was setting in. Some of the younger Corthan warriors were showing signs of combat exhaustion. Zethkar contacted the human vessels. "Captain Chen, you should rotate your crews. Your people have been fighting for 36 hours straight." "Negative, Commander. We're holding position." By the 3rd day, something impossible was happening. While Valerian and Corthan forces struggled with exhaustion, the humans seemed to have found a second wind. No, a third wind. Maybe a fourth. Their tactics became more aggressive, more unpredictable. Their formations tightened instead of loosening. Zethkar observed Captain Chen through the bridge view screen during a brief tactical meeting. Her eyes were bloodshot, her hands trembled slightly, but her voice remained steady. Behind her, he could see human crew members moving with the mechanical precision of beings pushed far beyond normal limits. "Captain, your species requires rest," Zethkar pressed. "This is biological fact." Chen smiled grimly. "Commander, you're absolutely right. We do need rest. We need it badly." She paused, checking a tactical display. "But you know what we need more? To win this fight." On the 4th day, the impossible became routine. Human fighters that should have been grounded for crew rest continued their deadly dance through space. Their accuracy hadn't diminished, if anything, it had improved. They moved like beings possessed, channeling something primal that transcended mere training. The Void Swarm, perhaps sensing something unnatural in their opponent's behavior, began to falter. Their coordinated attacks became erratic. For the first time in the campaign, they started to withdraw from engagements. Zethkar pulled up the human medical readings his sensors had been monitoring. The data made no sense. Stress hormones that should have been depleted were somehow maintaining levels. Brain activity patterns showed signs of severe sleep deprivation, yet cognitive performance remained high. Most disturbing of all, their determination seemed to be increasing rather than fading. "What are your people?" he whispered to himself. The 5th day dawned with the Void Swarm's final gambit, a concentrated assault on the fleet's command ships. Every available craft was thrown into the defense. Zethkar watched in stunned silence as Captain Chen's frigate Indomitable positioned itself directly in the path of a bioship twice its size. The human vessel's weapons blazed continuously far beyond recommended firing rates. Its engines burned at dangerous overload levels. On the bridge, Chen stood at her command station like a statue of war itself, her crew moving around her with the fluid coordination of a single organism. "Captain," Zethkar transmitted privately, "your ship is taking critical damage. Fall back." "Negative," came the reply. "We hold the line." The Indomitable held, and when the smoke cleared, the massive bioship was a drifting hulk, its threat neutralized by a vessel 1/10 its mass crewed by beings who should have collapsed from exhaustion days ago. As the Void Swarm finally retreated from the system, Zethkar requested permission to board the human flagship. He found Captain Chen in the medical bay, finally unconscious. surrounded by her equally exhausted crew. The ship's doctor, a grizzled human named Martinez, looked up from his patients. "How?" Zethkar asked simply. Martinez chuckled, though exhaustion was written in every line of his face. "You want to know the secret? It's not that we don't need rest. We need it more than most species, actually. 8 hours minimum, preferably more." "Then how did you fight for 5 days straight?" The doctor gestured to the unconscious forms around them. "Because sometimes, Commander, what we need and what we'll accept are two very different things. You can push humans past any biological limit if they believe the cause is worth it. The trick isn't that we don't need rest. It's that we can decide our mission is more important than our needs." 3 hours later, Captain Chen awoke, checked the tactical situation, and immediately requested a status report on fleet readiness for the next engagement. Zethkar updated his files on human military capabilities that day. Under the section marked Biological Limitations, he deleted everything and wrote simply, "Classification pending." From that day forward, human forces were no longer considered support units in Valerian military doctrine. They were designated as strategic assets, handled with extreme respect. The galaxy was vast and full of species that were stronger, faster, or smarter than humans. But as the war against the Void Swarm continued, one truth became clear to all who fought alongside them. When humans decided something was worth fighting for, concepts like biological limitations became merely suggestions they chose to ignore.